Hey guys, welcome back to Yoga with Leona, your site for everything about yoga in breast cancer recovery. I wanted to do a little tutorial today about planks, one of my favorite strength building exercises, and I use them a lot within the course of my full yoga asana practices, but you can also do planks just by themselves. So if you don't have time for a full yoga practice or you like to do other things on your days in between yoga, for example, if you like to walk or jog, you could just throw in a few planks there to continue building strength in your shoulders and arms as well as core strength. So planks are super important. All of those things, building core strength, building more strength in the shoulders and arms, they help us in the rest of our yoga practice, right? So it's going to make your sun salutations easier. When you get better core strength, it's going to make balancing easier. So they're so good for us in so many ways, but they can be challenging. And especially for us as breast cancer survivors, sometimes we're a little anxious to start putting weight into our arms, and we need to do that slowly and methodically so that our bodies can get used to the movement again and get used to, holding that strength there. So I'm going to take you today through the very beginning of starting to do planks when you're just starting to put weight into your arms, and then kind of slowly progress all the way up to some really vigorous exercises in plank position. So let's see how we do. I'm probably going to be sweating. All right. So the first thing when you start to do planks is, again, being aware of whether you're ready to start putting weight into your arms or not. So as I've said in lots of other videos, if you are fresh out of your breast cancer treatment, surgery, etc., you're going to want to make sure that your doctor has told you that it's okay to start putting weight into your arms. I was told I needed to wait at least 2 months after surgery before I started doing any of this kind of practice. So make sure that you're ready, first of all, and then remember to be very patient and move slowly. This isn't something that, just in 2 weeks, you just get up to full plank speed. You need to go really slowly and give your body time. All right, but once you're ready, then we're going to start with some sort of gentle planks to get your body used to the feeling. The first thing I want to mention, though, is about hand and wrist placement and sort of flexibility. So when you first start putting weight into your arms, it can feel a little bit, it can feel like a lot in the wrists. And so you want to make sure that you've got your hands in the right position. So when we come to plank, we want to make sure that we're not getting our hands turning too far inward or too far outward. There's a crease in your wrist, and you want that crease to be totally parallel with the front side of your mat. Now, for most of us, including me, what that means is index finger pointing toward the front, not the middle finger. When I point my middle finger toward the front of my mat, my crease is tilting inward a little bit. So index finger to the front of the mat for most people. But have a look at your wrists and see how they look to you. And then when we push into the floor, we want to feel this crease part of the front of your elbow, so the bent part of the front of your elbow turning toward the front. So it's not like push-ups in gym class where our elbows were out to the sides. We're rolling our elbow creases forward in plank. And this is going to give you the most shoulder stability and the best form for your plank that's going to keep your arms and shoulders as healthy as possible. All right, so now I'm going to turn to the side just so you can see what we're doing a little bit. So the first way to start doing planks is to use some yoga blocks to support your wrists. So as I mentioned, as you start putting weight into your wrists, it's going to take the wrists a little while to get used to it. So I like to stretch my wrists a little bit when I get started. Just make some circles with your wrists. And in between any kind of hands down postures, I like to take these little kitty cat hands and just, give the wrists some stretch in the opposite direction. All right, so be kind to your wrists. If your wrists are a little bit tricky, using blocks is one good way. So you can put your hands sort of at the front of your blocks, and by doing this, it takes a little bit of the bend out of the wrists. So if you're brand new to planks, you're going to start with your blocks a little in front of you. You're going to sink your hips back. And then when you push forward to bring shoulders above hips, you can keep your knees down at first. So we can take knee down planks, pushing our hands into the floor, rolling those elbow creases forward. Shoulder blades are spread across the back. So we're not dumping into our back like this, right? Pushing strong into the floor as your shoulder blades spread across the back and you pull your belly up and in. So there's a lot going on in a plank. So you're not dumping down into your back and shoulders. You're pushing in and pulling up with your belly. So imagine you've got like a corset around your midsection and you're pulling up and in. All right, and then you rest, sinking back. When I do planks, I like to take usually 2 or 3 sets, and you're going to slowly work up to it. So when you first start and you're doing this knee down type, you might say, let's just take 5 breaths. See if we can hold it for 5 breaths, and then rest in between. All right, and see if, maybe you start with just 1 set of that when you're very first beginning, and then you make sure it feels okay. You stretch the arms out afterwards, and you slowly work up. And then maybe you do 2 sets of 5 breaths, and then maybe 3 sets of 5 breaths. And then after that, maybe you go up to 10 breaths and see how you do. But again, take your time and move as slowly as you need. Now, if you don't need the blocks, you can go ahead and remove those, and you can take them with your hands flat on the floor. Let's show that one. So same thing, if you're still keeping knees down, you can shift forward, shoulders come above the wrists, and knees can stay down. Again, you're pushing into the floor, pulling your belly up and in. Now, once that's feeling pretty easy to you and you can stay a good 10 breaths, then you can try tucking the toes under and popping the knees up to a full plank. Now, remember, again, not dumping down, dumping into the shoulders or the belly. Pull your belly up and in. You almost feel a little hollowed out on the bottom, like you're an upside down canoe. And again, rest. So taking it slowly, just plain plank, again, 5 breaths to start, and try that a couple of times. And then over the period of a few weeks, you see, maybe I'm ready for 10 breaths, or maybe I'm ready even for 15 breaths. Some people who are plank masters can stay in plank for, minutes at a time. I don't recommend trying that right at first, but once you're doing fine with 5 or 10 breaths, then you can set your timer and try for 30 seconds. Try to build up. Maybe you even go a whole minute as you build strength slowly in your arms and shoulders. All right, what about our folks that really have tricky wrists and they just say, you know what, my wrists are not having plank. I have a couple of friends like this. So elbow plank is a great option for those folks. So you're going to put your elbows on the floor, hands straight in front, and you're going to pop your lower body up into a plank, pulling your belly up and in, pushing the shoulders into the floor, just the same as you would in a traditional plank. So again, not dumping down into the belly. Push your elbows into the floor and pull that belly up and in. So elbow plank is a nice one. Even if you've got fine wrists, you can take this one just for some variety in your planks. All right, good. So if all that is going fine, let's try some variations on traditional plank just to get a little movement to continue to build the strength that we like to have in our arms and shoulders. All right, first let's try going from a traditional plank down into an elbow plank. Let's see how that looks. So we start in a plank, we check our hands, we pop up, we pull our belly up and in. And if you're feeling really strong doing this, you can slowly walk down to your elbow plank and then back up to your traditional plank. Make sure you do both sides. First do the right arm first and then the left arm. And you can see that you're building more strength, not just in the core here, but also in the shoulders and in the arms, in the hands as you go up and down. So if that looks like something that might be an option for you, instead of just taking your traditional plank for 30 seconds or a minute, you could try these guys for 30 seconds and you'll really feel continuing to build more strength in those arms. All right, let's try another option. This one is shoulder taps from your plank position. So you're going to come into your traditional plank, pull those bellies up and in, and then you're going to alternately tap one shoulder and then the other. And you can see that it's common to shift your weight slightly. You need to do that to balance there. So you're working on this sort of dynamic strength as you move and you tap one shoulder and then the other. Good. So maybe you would do 30 seconds of a regular plank, 30 seconds of an elbow plank, and 30 seconds shoulder taps. All right. But remember, be patient, go slow. This is like a months-long process of building the strength to be able to do these guys. But as you do, you'll feel that strength build. You'll feel everything in your traditional yoga practice getting easier. All right, let's keep going. Just a couple more options here for you guys that love planks just as much as I do. All right, first let me show you, we often do these in our yoga practices, the three-legged dog crunches, as I like to call them. They're sort of coming from downward facing dog and a three-legged dog into a plank crunch. And I'll show you why those are important just after that. So first we're going to come to downward facing dog. We're going to stretch one leg to the sky, trying not to kick over your plant. And then we're going to come forward. See how I'm shifting sort of into a plank as I bring one knee to my elbow. And then you lower down and come back up. You can go back to your three-legged dog and then come knee to nose and hold. And then back to the top. And then maybe knee to the opposite elbow, hold. Tons of core strength here holding this guy. And then back to the top. Good. Let's do the other side just for symmetry. So the other leg goes to the sky, shift forward, knee to elbow or tricep, down and up, back to the sky, knee to your nose, and up, knee to the opposite side, and up. All right, good. Rest. So again, you could take that as one of your sets, building so much strength in all of these areas of the core. So that one not only helps build strength, but it also helps you build the flexibility to step your foot all the way forward. So you know how for many of us, that's sort of a challenge in yoga. How do you get from downward facing dog to stepping the foot in between the hands to come all the way up? This is a great way to practice that. So as you build that strength and you're practicing pulling that back leg forward, you're finding that shape. All right, here comes the last one and my current favorite for building strength from plank. And some people call them mountain climbers. I like to call them mountain goats. I don't know why, it just sounds funnier to me. But it's basically starting in a plank position, and then you're alternately pulling one knee toward the opposite elbow. And then if that feels okay and you can do it without problem, you can do it a little bit faster so that you're almost kind of like running in place in a plank. So let me show you what that looks like. So again, we come to plank. And the first option is just to slowly bring one knee toward the opposite elbow, making sure that you're keeping your plank position here. So don't let your butt get too high and you're trying to do it from up here. Staying in a plank. And also don't let yourself droop down, right? Remember, we're a hollowed out canoe here, and we're slowly bringing one knee to the opposite elbow. If that's easy, you can pick up the pace a little bit and turn it into almost a little bit of a jog. So good for you. So challenging. But you can do it, right? And you can do it, especially if you take your time. So again, you can do these mountain goats. Just take like 10 seconds, 15 seconds. And then as you feel comfortable, as your arms are handling it and you realize that you can go a little bit longer each week, just increase it by a few seconds or, see how your body feels. But that's it. So that's all the variations of plank from starting at the very, very beginning when you're just finding out if your arms are ready to hold any weight, through intermediate level planks and all the way up into the mountain goats. So happy planking. Please let me know if you need any guidance, you're having trouble, or you're not sure if you're ready to do any of this kind of movements. I'd be happy to talk to you and help guide you along the way of building back your strength and flexibility after your cancer experience. All right, have an awesome day. Namaste.